Nope, didn't do it right. Now it's done. Excuse me. Hi, hello, and howdy. My name is Erin of Essentially Erin, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to talk about different ways to increase your curl definition. I know that when I was first transitioning into wearing my hair more naturally, lessening the heat, following all the steps, blah, 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 I was increasingly upset about how my curls just kind of seemed to go bleh right after I washed or styled them. Now, I'm not gonna say that the techniques I show in this video are going to help with the bleh here. Transitioning is just a part of life. It's something that takes time, it takes patience, and it takes a lot of love. These techniques are really just things that take practice, and if you start practicing while your hair is transitioning, you can help train your curls so that whenever it does get to a healthier place, you got the definition that you want. So obviously today we are going to be using a few techniques that use a brush and a few techniques that use your fingers. So because it does have the brush, I will once again add the disclaimer that you guys haven't heard from me in a while, but just in case you're new here, I do not strictly follow the curly girl method. I have an entire video detailing why I do what's best for my hair, and I will hope and encourage that you do the best for yours. For me, that involves brush styling. Now, I have already gone ahead and styled the majority of my hair with a brush. It's just pulled back right now. We're gonna be focusing on this front section of my hair just because it's easier for me to show you guys exactly what techniques that I'm using. We're gonna go over brush styling, brush coiling, brush ribbons, finger rolling, finger coiling, and the rake and shake. Did not mean to flip you off, I apologize. So with all that being said, let's jump in. Now, I've talked about this in some of my other brush styling videos, but for me, I get the best results when my hair is soaking wet. Like I said, I've already styled the majority of my hair, but this front section that I've separated has already started to dry. So we're gonna make sure that we always have a Flairsol spray bottle handy in order to keep things wet. I have already gone ahead and added gel to my hair. I just added it whenever I was styling the rest of my head, so we're not gonna add any additional styling products during this video. We're just gonna talk about the techniques that I use. All right, so as you can see, my hair is very wet and in desperate need of a cut. Oh my gosh, the split ends. So first we're gonna start with brush styling. Now I'm gonna use, this is really difficult to talk to you guys sideways. Now I'm gonna use my Denman brush today, and the reason being is this is hands down the most popular curly hair styling tool. I'm gonna go ahead and use it today primarily because I think it is the tool that most of us were probably pretty close to the first to reach for whenever we first started this journey. So I think it's probably gonna be the best baseline to start with. Now remember, I've said it in other videos, but I will say it every time I use this brush to you guys. This Denman brush, this particular one, is not a detangler. Your hair should already be detangled before you get to this point, okay? So first we're gonna talk about regular brush styling. Now, the key to most brush styling is just tension. If you take your brush at the root and roll it this way, and then just pull it outward and slowly rotate the brush, and then shake, you're gonna get these nice little ringlets here. Now, this type of styling is, just let me part my curtain bangs here. This particular type of styling is something that I would recommend for somebody that has very fine, low density hair, so they don't have a ton of it, it's not very full or voluminous. By creating curls like this, when it dries, it's actually gonna dry fuller. So you're gonna get a lot more volume out of that. So this is definitely the type of styling that I would recommend if you don't have a ton of hair or if you're worried about your hair being weighed down. This is what I would use. Okay, so for brush coiling, the difference is you kind of go at the end of the brush, and as you brush down, you kind of turn it, and then you get it around the handle of the brush, and you just kind of keep spinning, and then slowly pull down. That way you get these nice thicker ringlets. Now, these would be good for pretty much any type of hair, especially if you're looking for a lot of definition. This is great. Obviously work in smaller sections. However, the best part about these kind of things, as well as the next style that I'm gonna show you, the brush ribbons, is that as your hair dries, or once your hair is dry, if you put a little oil on your hand, you can really separate these curls out and get a little bit more volume from that. Now, this third style is one that you've probably seen me use on the majority of my brush styling videos. This is the brush ribbon technique, and it works just like curling ribbons for presents. So when you put your brush at the root of your head here, like right at the scalp, if you guys can see, you turn it, but as you turn it, you create enough tension against the edge of your brush that it creates these ribbons. So they're thicker than that first brush styling one. However, the way that I elevate this even more is I use my hand. So right when it gets to the edge here, I put my finger or my hand right at the edge and I just keep pressing, just like with a ribbon. So if you see, you already see you're getting thicker, juicier groupings there. And then if you shake, you get these nice juicy clumps. So I love doing it this way because I get thicker curls, but it also still falls pretty naturally when it dries. It doesn't have that super ringlet look that you get from the brush coiling technique around the handle. So I personally prefer this because even if you didn't want to separate it, you still get these really nice curls all throughout the hair. So those are the three biggest brush techniques that I have seen personally. Now, whether or not they're actually named those things, I couldn't tell you, but it just seems to be the three names that the majority of us use when we're describing those. Now, as far as the styles that you can do with your hands, if you are following Curly Girl method, or if you do not want to use a brush yet because you're worried about damage or breakage, these are the three ways that I help increase definition and distribute product through my hair. So the first one, which is probably the easiest, is the rake and shake method, where you're going to make sure that all of your hair is, again, still soaking wet. We're actually losing a little water, so I'm gonna add some more. Now let's pretend that my hands are covered in product. I've gone ahead and put it. You're going to take your fingers and from the root, pull that product through. When you get down, so you're creating your clumps with your fingers. When you get down, you kind of shake it and it helps create those clumps. Now again, this would be great for people that have low density, fine hair, people that are worried about not having a ton of volume. This would be the way that I would recommend doing it. Again, it gives you a very natural look. It makes it look as if your hair's still clumped. You get some nice ringlets and it still feels very full. Now the next two, I already have full videos on, but I'm gonna go ahead and add them here so you guys can kind of see them up close and in slow motion. We're just going to use one. So we are going to talk So the first one is going to be the finger coil. I go from close to the root, but I keep it flat against my finger there. And you literally just now with finger coiling, I have noticed that it tends to work best on smaller sections of hair. If you work on big sections, you actually usually end up with kind of more frizz in it. So for me, I just do a couple of runs and then I let it go. So just a couple of twists, get your finger to the end. And this is definitely where having soaking wet hair comes in handy, because if it is the least bit dry or damp, you will run into issues. So I just do a couple of twists. And then when I get to the end, I scrunch. So it's still well dispersed. You do end up with these nice ringlets. It's a little hard to see when it's wet, but you do end up with some nice definition there, and it goes all the way to the end, even if you don't twist to the end. Most of the time when a lot of us lose definition, it's near the root, so that's why I do my twists up there first, and then I kind of just let it trickle downward. Now for finger rolling, a lot of you guys are requesting this. You can do finger rolls in significantly larger chunks, which is also part of the added benefit. These tend to come out more like the brush coiling chunks. However, you can still split it into smaller sections if you want, or you can do it in a big chunky one. I'm gonna show you guys in a smaller section, just because it's easier to demonstrate. So you go to the end or near the end, you take the edge, flip it up and pinch. So you kind of create this little loop here, okay? You take your finger that's in that loop, you put tension there, and you roll it up and grab the hair. Roll, grab, roll, grab. And then eventually, because you have enough hair there, you don't have to grab anymore, and you can just roll. And then when you get to the top, you slide your finger out and pull it down. So I'll try to show you guys one more time. So you get to the end, pinch, roll, pinch, roll, pinch, and then just roll. Now when you get to these side ones, I like to turn my finger sideways. And you get these really nice big ringlets. Now, again, I would recommend pulling this apart, but only when it's dry. If you do it while it's wet, you will run into a little bit more frizz, and you have a higher likelihood of potentially getting tangles and breaks in your curls. So I would wait until these dry. Once they're dry, put a little oil on your hand, separate them out and scrunch. And that's it. So those are the 6 ways that I tend to increase definition within my curls. It's also a great way to help increase volume. I know it's very difficult to choose between volume or definition. However, this is a way where you can kind of have the best of both worlds. So that's all I have for you guys today, keeping it short, sweet, and to the point, helping you guys essentially be yourself.